Hello, Mike here again, and I figured it was time to do another video. I hadn't made one in several weeks, but today is a milestone for me, another milestone. 2 months ago today, I had surgery. So I have finally made it through the first 2 months of my rotator cuff surgery. And if I were to kind of take a look back at the work I had done as part of my procedure, I had a full thickness tear of my supraspinatus tendon, and so that had to be dealt with. Fortunate enough that I didn't have any kind of retraction, and that the orthopedic surgeon was able to reattach the tendon back to its natural footprint, which if you've read some about this, which I tried to learn more about it, what's called the footprint. So the outside of the top of the head of the humerus. And so that reattachment was the major part of the surgery that I had done. The other major part was that I had a tear in my long head biceps tendon. And so there had to be a reattachment intertwined with one of my pectoral tendons, and did some mattress stitching between those two tendons and anchored those again. There's generally 3 spots that I've learned that they can reattach the bicep tendon. There's a groove on the outside of the humerus, and normally the tendon runs in that groove and then anchors inside the shoulder area. Well, mine was torn to the point where it had to be relocated, and they can either do it at the top of the groove, which I've read potentially leads to some groove pain. The second is just at the bottom where the groove is just starting, and then there's the location that's further down. My surgeon, which I had no say in this, it was a decision that was made during surgery. He actually located just below the groove, which from my reading is the most optimum, generally speaking, position to re-anchor. The actual bicep will regain full strength and full capability in this location. I won't have to deal with the groove pain that some have said that they've dealt with the groove location area. And then because it's still got plenty of distance on the tendon, the shape of my bicep should be normal, and everything looks normal so far as well. So those were the 2 main issues I had. Again, I've had chronic minor injuries throughout my life. And then weightlifting last summer as part of my regular exercise routine. I was doing curls with this right arm. And I felt just a searing pain. Nothing felt like it snapped. I didn't hear anything like that, but the pain was like something I'd never felt. At that point, I knew I was in trouble, and so I rested for weeks, and then I tried to lift again. Same issue. So at that point, I knew that there was damage done. Went in for the X-ray. Didn't really show a lot. MRI revealed quite a bit more information, and at that point, I made a decision to move forward with the surgery for quality of life. I'm youngish and still pretty active, so I figured it was a good opportunity to get this done now. My father had 2 bad shoulders. I've also got, my left shoulder's not the best, but I'm left-handed. It's functional, have no major issues with it. But you know that there's something, it's, I guess, age, right? Wear and tear. But my father had 2 bad shoulders and told me before he passed away, told us my kids, me and my siblings, that he had wished he had taken care of it, because he lived his last number of years with a fair amount of pain in both shoulders. So put all that together, it made sense for me to move forward with this. 2 months removed now. I would say that I'm pleased with my decision to move forward. I'm still a long way away. I've got, total of, I guess, 9 to 12 months to be in that area where hopefully I can be, give or take, 100% recover. At this point, though, I have moved on from passive range of motion exercises at physical therapy to a couple of weeks ago, moved into the active assisted range of motion, where I'm actually helping myself, or the PT is helping me with some of the exercises, and have now also added active range of motion, where I'm using my shoulder and arm, my right arm on its own, right? So trying to use the healing process that's taken place and then taking advantage of that. So basically using all three types of exercises incorporated into my regimen. So PROM, passive range of motion, AAROM, so active assisted, where I'm actually helping myself with my good hand, helping my surgical arm, and then also active range of motion, where I'm actually using my right arm, not using my left arm, to do the exercises. So I have felt that my shoulder is much stronger, just looking back 2 months. And the day of surgery, I went back and looked at some of the videos I had made. Another reason I put this together, to be honest, I wasn't sure if this was something I wanted to do. I didn't know what it would entail, what kind of efforts involved. I'm not a YouTuber, but I figured there was plenty of people that put their videos together, as I had mentioned early on in my videos, that I benefited from. And had they not done that, I probably would be a lot slower in my transition post-op. So thank you again to all of those that have contributed. And I just felt that I wanted to make something that was a little more current with my journey through this. And it has definitely helped my transition. So 2 months out, adding all of those exercises. My PT session last Friday, I came home and told my wife that it was the best PT session I'd had to date. And I'm at 13 sessions so far. Usually it's about 2 a week. There's been some snow in the area, and so there was 1 or 2 sessions where the office was closed down, where I couldn't get in. But all in all, 13 sessions, and I've seen general progress week to week. Maybe not always session to session, right? Setting, again, the appropriate expectations. This is my situation, not doling out any kind of medical advice or PT advice, just trying to share my experience. Everybody is different. I understand that. Everybody's procedure could be different. Even if it sounds like it's the same, there's probably nuances that make it different, as well as other considerations to how active you were beforehand, your age. Younger folks probably will heal much more quickly, generally speaking. So, we're all up against different kinds of challenges, and this is just me kind of verbalizing to you, some of those challenges, and then some of those small victories that I've talked about, that I keep trying to stack on top of each other to build that foundation that's keeping me positive. Having said that, last Friday was a fantastic session. And then it was actually last week we started the active range of motion. So really working my shoulder area on its own. No help from the PT, no help from my left arm and hand helping. And so I think it was a combination. When I went in for my Monday session, I woke up that day and my shoulder was sore. It was probably a 3 to a 4 on the pain level, which I've been, again, very fortunate. I've had some discomfort and some pain, but sporadic, nothing I couldn't deal with. Never had to take the opioids. Very pleased about that. But ibuprofen and acetaminophen, I haven't used those now except for when I'm really sore. And so I did use some before the session last Friday, and that, I think, ibuprofen, and I believe that helped with any of the inflammation so that I could get the most out of PT. And then Saturday I woke up a little sore, Sunday I was a little sore, and then Monday I was the most sore. And so I told the PT when I went in how I was feeling, and that please don't try to break my arm, that we might need to take it a little bit slower. And so great day on Friday, and then the following Monday, it was probably the worst. session, the most challenging session that I had had to date. So, right, there's highs and there's lows. It's not been a kind of a linear path for me. There's been some, steps up and then, step back. Sometimes, kind of keep the same level for a week. So great step up last Friday. And then to me, it was a step back on Monday. Tried to keep that in perspective, knowing full well that's what's going to happen. I'm not happy about it, but what are you going to do, right? So all in all, though, 2 months later, I'm very pleased with the progress. PT has been extremely beneficial. I have been doing my due diligence. I have not skipped a session voluntarily. I make sure that I go. I make sure that I listen to them. I ask a lot of questions. Sometimes I might challenge them. I guess that's the engineer in me, because I want to know the whys, the mechanics of things. But I'm also looking for their guidance and their expertise. And so far, it's worked out well. Well, let's see. I guess I could probably show you some of the motion that I do have. So when I went in, and hopefully you can hear me, but when I went in for the first month or so, I guess for me, working on flexion, I could get my arm up to about 90 degrees. And that was about as far as I could get for a number of weeks. And then a couple of weeks ago, I've now been able to move it much higher. Right, so I think he measured 165 degrees. Also, the motion out to the side, so I can get to 90 degrees, a little higher. I am moving my shoulder up, so I need to get to the point where I'm actually pivoting around the shoulder and not using the shoulder to pull up. But that's further than I could a couple of weeks ago. And then the same kind of thing with just the arm out parallel. And so I'm about 90 degrees with that motion as well. And that's just in the last couple of weeks. I've made great strides because of the exercises they have me working on. And I'm also doing them here at home, those that they have given me instructions to use. So pendulums, I'm only really using pendulums now for kind of relief. It feels good to me to just kind of lean over and hang and swing my arm in the two directions that they taught me. They didn't want me using circular motion just because they said that that's a little more challenging and for balance and so forth, so that they don't normally do that. I know plenty of other PT offices do use circular, but I use it after my exercises, for example, at PT, but here at home. So I like to keep using the pendulums, but they said, you don't need to do those anymore. I have also, as part of the active assisted range of motion, but also the active range of motion, I've started using PVC piping at PT, and here I don't really have any PVC pipe of that size. So I've got an old golf club, and then using that to kind of take both hands together and then pulling up and over in my head and try to keep my arms straight as possible. But I've been doing that at home as well. I'm using the exercise ball at PT to kind of roll the ball up an incline as well as up against a wall. So kind of have a smorgasbord of all these different types of exercises that I've kind of graduated to as I've made progress. So very pleased with all of that. It's not pain-free. When I was raising my arm just now, it's not that I feel pain as much as I feel very, very tight when I get up to the limits of what my shoulder can do at this point. But it's, great advancement compared to where I was a couple of weeks ago, definitely a month or so ago, while I was still going through a lot of the healing process. But all in all, very, very pleased with that. So, I have mentioned in a couple of videos, and I apologize, that I was going to create a separate video for maybe tips and tricks of things that have helped me through my process here. Some of these, none of them are earth-shattering, but I took some from other YouTubers that put these together to see if it's some things I can use, and that's the spirit here as well. Your mileage may vary, and what I'm going to show you in a separate video when I put those together, hopefully later today after work, that I'll share that with you, things that have kind of helped me with my transition post-op. Some that I used for the first couple of weeks, maybe some that I'm still using today. But you can see that I don't have a sling on. In my last video, I had mentioned that when I'm sedentary, I don't need to use the sling anymore. Predominantly, it's for sleeping, and then when I'm out and about. For me, it's a security blanket. Lets me know and reminds me that I do still have a shoulder issue, because there are times I'm sitting, reading a book or watching TV, and the shoulder feels great. I don't feel anything, but it's just sitting there. So when I'm out and about, it's a reminder for me, but it's also a reminder to those around me. Maybe not a reminder because they didn't know that I had procedure, but it's kind of a notice to them that, I've got a shoulder issue, and maybe give me a little wider berth, when we're passing each other. And so far, had no issues. So work is not a problem. I work at a computer all day long, so a lot of typing, and I had to turn my body initially to be able to handle the stress and strain that was on my shoulder. I don't have to do that now, so I've got much more capability with the external rotation. It's still the challenging one for me, but I am making progress there, and so I can now type without pain and without discomfort. And let's see, was there anything else that I wanted to make sure I mentioned? Yeah, I don't think so. So I just wanted to, again, put this video together to offer up, again, some hopefully some support for any of you that are thinking about this. I know that there have been some of you that have commented on your journeys, and whether it includes surgery or just PT, that you have a positive experience and that it leads to a positive outcome, right? Because it's all about quality of life. Just making sure that you can get, if not back to that level, some semblance of functionality so that you can carry out your day-to-day routines and things that you enjoy to do. So all in all, very, very pleased so far. Hope that you are all doing well, and I will see what I can do to put together that video of tips and tricks. And again, if you have any ideas or thoughts or feedback, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I do read those, and I do respond to those. I'm hoping that things are going well for those of you that are currently going through post-op rehab for shoulder surgery, and for those considering it. If you have the opportunity, I was afforded this. I know not everybody can get this. I was given about 5 weeks between when I knew that I wanted to do surgery and the actual surgery. And I tried to use that time to educate myself as much as possible, but also use it to prepare. Things like, as I mentioned in a previous video, but I know not everyone will watch all of the videos, but using my sling, for example, that I was given back when I had my x-ray, that I used that time to sleep in my recliner, to see what that would be like. I wore my sling around. I worked in my sling to see what it'd be like to basically do almost everything one-handed, because I knew initially post-op I wouldn't be able to use that arm, if at all, maybe just my fingers, and you can't really grab too much. You can probably use something to kind of balance. So anyway, if you're afforded that luxury of time, I know that I found it very beneficial, and it definitely helped with me transitioning through the day-to-day tasks post-op. So again, hope you're doing well. Don't know when I'll send out another update for regular shoulder update. Maybe I'll move down to monthly here, but knock on wood, I'm at 2 months and hopefully making progress to 3 months. But I'll see if I can put together a video with those tips and tricks and lessons learned from my perspective. We'll talk to you soon.